Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Angel Wallace Productions and God's Grace on Me. Today is Saturday. It is the 26th of May of 2024, and it is 1:18 p.m., 71 degrees, fair and sunny. It's beautiful. So I promised that I would get a couple more chapters out from the journals. And we're still in the pre-flight instructions for the Phoenix, Volume 1. And we're now headed into Chapter 13. Chapter 13, May 18, 1991. Unfolding the root cause of any negative perception. Greetings, precious Drathea. I am Sananda. I come in service to Holy God, Aton, of light, and to you, my brethren. Thank you for finding your balance, Drathea, and petitioning for clarity on negative perceptions, that we may share with our brethren. For within each human conscious mind, there exists many various perceptions, and, depending upon the experiences of emotional attachment, ones will attach to themselves various degrees of misperception and therefore respond accordingly. Let us example the giving forth of the word, the historical, economic, social, political, and spiritual truths. Every single one of you who first reads of the devastating manifested illusion which now exists upon your plane, respond in a multitude of different ways, depending upon the level of your spiritual awareness and maturity. When you are told, for example, that you ones in the United States of America are rapidly losing the freedoms which were guaranteed under your Constitution and Bill of Rights, and many of you become afraid, mostly because you have taken the freedoms you have had for granted, and few of you have any historical, political, and/or social economic knowledge and experience. That which you do have is, as you are finding as you continue to read the Phoenix journals, quite limited in truth of the circumstances. Mostly you ones have concerned yourselves with survival needs, succeeding in your chosen profession, raising families, and enjoying your lives through various forms of entertainment as you are able. And when your pursuit of the so-called American dream, or whatever dream you have, which requires freedom to realize, is threatened, such as by the truth that the economic system is collapsing, and you may lose your once secure job, and many of you feel extremely frightened, especially because you feel helpless. Now, the adversary would like you to feel helpless and fearful, because often you will become paralyzed by this and refuse to take any action whatsoever, even for your own security and protection. And many will simply try to glue those rose-colored glasses tightly around their eyes, that their world can return, they hope, to the innocence which they once enjoyed. I will venture to say, Chelas, that once the stirring of your spirit within has been accomplished, you will never return to your original ignorant state. Your conscience will not allow you to. Now, many ones of you considered yourselves to be most spiritually attuned, especially if you have expanded your awareness beyond the limiting doctrines of your various religious institutions. And many of you have accomplished much of your spiritual progress through what is often called the New Age movement and metaphysics. What I would like you ones to please understand carefully is that the adversary has worked just as diligently within the human leaders of the New Age philosophies and doctrines in order deceived and misled your spiritual understanding, as well as also working through your fundamental religious institutions to accomplish its deception. Because all of you have various degrees of spiritual innocence and gullibility. The aspects of truth about personal responsibility and the nature of evil and goodness, God and adversary, is often twisted and turned about, so that you searchers of spiritual freedom and truth continue to be bound by the adversary through a more subtle deception and purposeful misinterpretation of the cosmic spiritual laws. For example, what do the terms negative and positive mean to you? Let us first define negative, characterized by or expressing negation, denial, or refusal. Not positive or affirmative, a negative attitude. The side that denies or contradicts what the other side affirms, as in a debate. Now, we will define positive. That is or may be directly affirmed, actual, characterized by or expressing affirmation, a positive attitude, openly and plainly expressed, a positive denial, not admitting of doubt and denial. So the defining of terms often helps assist the understanding of the meaning of your own often used expressions. Most of you, when you are given information about your world circumstance, for example, as laid forth in the Phoenix Journals, will respond in some way. And if the information is frightening to you or causes you to feel badly or threatens your belief system in some way, then most often you ones will say that it is negative. And by calling it negative, you are thereby expressing denial and refusal to accept the information. In this way, do you also refuse responsibility to investigate further and do something to change the circumstance? I will say that the information shared within the Phoenix Journals is actually quite positive in that it is openly and plainly expressed. Positive truth. Now, in order to find balance with every circumstance and every bit or information you are given, you must ask the spirit within you what this circumstance and or information is showing you. What is the lesson here which you have asked for? And you will find that finally, having and knowing the truth, when you recognize it as such, to actually be most liberating to you spiritually, because you will have recognized the enemy and it is you. So then, when your newly discovered personal power and responsibility, you will demand the Spirit of God within you to show you your opportunity to serve God and the creation, and therefore change what you find to be unacceptable, unbalanced consequences, circumstances. And then you will know you can create a more balanced circumstance. Now here's a little test for you. Think of a profoundly negative circumstance in your perception. Now, what emotions do you feel? For example, if you lost your job or your home burned to the ground. Fear? Loss? Anger? Helplessness? Is the loss outside of you? Do you ask yourself, why me? And do you feel victimized by something outside of you? Now, think of a profoundly positive circumstance in your perception, such as the birth or a new babe or getting married. How does simply thinking about this circumstance make you feel? Love, joy, fulfillment, peace? Do you know that you choose how you will respond in every circumstance and situation put before you? Inner peace and joy are yours, and you will experience them more and more as you take personal responsibility and sincerely work to create balanced circumstances and correct unbalanced circumstances within the inner guidance of your spirit. Now, when you receive information such as that produced within the Phoenix Journals, and you respond with fear in your heart, then what action does this response demand from you? What do you want to do? Denounce the information? Denounce the speaker who presents it? Turn off the flow of any further investigation of the information? I will suggest that whenever you respond with fear, when presented with information, that spirit within you is showing you something which you need to deal with. Truth is showing itself to you, and the spirit within registers it, and the altered ego chooses to become fearful because its belief security structure is feeling threatened. If you will simply see the emotion of fear as a warning of a real or an imagined danger and or an illusionary block to the opportunity of expanding your knowledge and truth, discernment, and inner understanding, you will be able to rise above the fear and take the necessary action to know the truth and respond to the call within to take responsible action. Now, for you ones who call yourself skeptics, defined as one who doubts, disbelieves, or disagrees with generally accepted ideas, one who questions the doctrines of a religion, skeptical, doubting, questioning, disbelieving, skepticism, a doubting or disbelieving attitude. Philos, the doctrine that absolute knowledge is attainable. Now, there is nothing wrong with questioning that information which you are given in order to find truth. But ones who call themselves skeptical or a skeptic most often hide behind this term so that they can remain on the fence of indecision about a particular matter and therefore not take action or responsibility. And by the very definition of skepticism, these ones hold a doctrine, a belief that absolute knowledge is attainable for them, or anyone else for that matter. And as long as they continue to sit upon the fence of skepticism, they certainly will continue to find themselves unable to absolutely find the truth. And one who holds tightly to his skepticism is often most fearful, and so appears more self-righteous and arrogant about his beliefs, such as his erroneous belief that if he doesn't know the truth, then neither can anyone else. So, for you chelas who are sincerely seeking life's spiritual truths, you will continue to learn about discernment of all information presented to your attention. And often you will feel skeptical about and therefore doubt and question a new idea, a thought, or a bit of information which is given to you. That is perfectly healthy. Just don't stop there. Ask the Father within to please show you the truth and guide you to that which will allow truth to unfold for you. Then wait upon Spirit to unfold the truth in the best way for you to understand it clearly. This means trusting your inner guidance to unfold all you need in the correct time frame for you. So then, patience is necessary as well, simply because you will feel less stressful if you can trust God within to give you all you need to know to continue to gain spiritual wisdom and perfection. Every circumstance you give your attention to is a lesson, perhaps of discernment, of truth, or conquering paralyzing fear, or even rising beyond skeptical indecision. And more than it being a lesson, every circumstance you give your attention to is also an opportunity for improving on or sharpening your spiritual wisdom and perfection. You see, precious chelas, as you sharpen and perfect your spiritual knowledge, your foundation becomes more solid than any man-made structure or material, because your foundation is aligned with a wisdom of knowledge of truth, of your immortal divinity, cosmic laws, and oneness with God and the creation. Nothing of physical illusion will be able to tear down your foundation, which is built on truth and spiritual wisdom. This, alas, was my final initiation upon your plane, less than some 2,000 years past. I, Sananda, had to pass the final test of spiritual fortitude as a human upon your place. I knew I had to experience the denial of myself and my Father within, by you of my brethren, and still rise above the human altered ego limitations of fear, frustration, and pain. Mine crucifixion was mine final test of spiritual commitment to my Father within me. I then attained a higher level of spiritual mastership, of which I continue to develop and perfect after my actual physical departure from Shan, which did not occur at crucifixion, but many years later, as you have read in "And they called his name Emmanuel." I am Sananda. And of course, the crucifixion of myself offered many lessons to you of my brethren, who either witnessed physically or otherwise, not the least lesson, which was totally purposely misinterpreted, that is, the immortality of the spirit or soul within. I then continued my spiritual mastership training in the higher realms of God, Aton, and have reached mine inherited, perfected spiritual state of Sananda, one with God. I am assisting and monitoring you of mine brothers and sisters who receive and give forth mine Father's word. I am available and accessible, though not yet in physical form, so that I may bring the spiritual foundation and balance along with the other heavenly hosts of God, so that you of my brethren who so choose can awaken and remember truth, and receive earned graduation to higher realms in God's kingdoms. I am come as mine Father God, Aton's representative, to claim you of his faithful and true children of light, and bring you home. Now, let us clarify more on negative perceptions. When George and Desiree Green speak before you and they describe the historical, political, socioeconomic, and spiritual circumstances in truth, see this as positive in that you are now given the opportunity through your spirit within to know truth and to take action, to bring about necessary change, to bring back balance. Chelas, information is information. The merit of it is its truth as it relates to your global and spiritual growth and discernment. Your spirit within is seeking balance, and it will continually show the unbalance that you may choose to heal it within and without. This is your measure of responsible spiritual maturity, your ability to absorb truth and knowledge and become empowered and responsible for creating balanced alignment with God and the creation. Remember, Chelas, you all share the pool of mass consciousness upon this plane. You contribute to the dis-ease as well as to the light. It is your choice. You can remain ignorant and irresponsible, but you will still suffer the consequences of your ill thinking and acting behavior. You see, you contribute to the unbalance either directly and knowingly if you align yourself with a destructive adversary, or you contribute to the unbalance indirectly through your ignorance of spiritual and global truth. It is most especially your ignorance of the consequences of your unbalanced thinking and doing, and of the cosmic laws which has nearly devastated your planet and your species. So the terms negative and positive are New Age terms, and the adversary has encouraged you once to align all circumstances in either category. Well, remember the definitions above. These terms do not fit, and they cause you to turn from responsibility of a given circumstance because it is identified by you as negative. You create all circumstances. Your spirit is always showing you something you need to know. You decide how you will respond in every circumstance put before you. And first, you will need to recognize unbalance when it is presented to you. Then, you will need to further investigate for yourself with the assistance of your spirit within until you are satisfied with the truth. Then you will ask God within to show you how to bring back balance to your portion of the mass consciousness pie. Then you will do what God within guides you to do. Here is something for you to think about. That which is positive to the adversary, i.e., causing confusion and deception, is considered quite negative to a child of light. And that which is negative to the adversary, i.e., being exposed as a liar and deceiver, is considered quite positive to a child of light. So you see, those terms are quite relative to the situation encountered and the perceptions retained by opposing personalities. And the absolute surest way, Chelas, to compound the problems you face and therefore create ever more devastating consequence to yourself and your planet is to be led to by your spirit within and exposed to the truth about the circumstance already created, and then still doing absolutely nothing to change them, to bring back balance. So, it is the better part of wisdom to hear the call of spirit and learn to listen to and accurately decipher your guidance given. And all it takes is your commitment to serve God's will, and you will be given all you need on your wondrous journey. So be it. Thank you for your attention. May clarity and understanding be yours, that your spiritual foundation may become solid in truth and wisdom. I am Sananda. Thank you, little sister Drathea. Go forth and find your confirmations, that they bring you peace and balance in your service to God, ASHTAR. Know that I love you all so greatly, for you each are a part of me as I am a part of you. Walk in God's light of truth, and know therein you always find peace. Salut. Chapter 14, May 21st, 1991. Understanding your current spiritual revolution. Greetings, precious Drathea. I am Sananda. I come in the service of Holy God, Aton of light, truth, wisdom, and glory. And this day I will further clarify and describe that which is occurring upon your plane in this time frame of history. Your species in planet Shan, Earth, is experiencing a spiritual revolution, which means recognizing, challenging, changing, and discarding the spiritual false and archaic ways so that you can surmount your stagnant condition and method of adapting to limited, ego-separate belief indoctrination. And the reason for this revolution is that you are making room for your spiritual renaissance. That is your new birth, resurrection, and revival of God, light, truth, gained from personally accessing the divine knowledge and wisdom of your spirit within. And just as the revival of letters and art in Europe marked the historical Renaissance or transition from medieval to modern history, representing the rebirth of civilization out of archaic creative suppression to a period of time roughly 14th through 16th century of relative abundant artistic expression and freedom. So too is your species experiencing a spiritual transition or renaissance. The great creative movement of spirit is singing its song of creation in the hearts of all who choose to hear. Ones who attune themselves to the holy vibration of God, Creator, creation within and without, will experience consciously the burning death of the illusion of separation from God, Aton, creation. Out of the ashes you ones will be reborn, resurrected from your sleepy semi-conscious state in which you have long existed, and that is the altered ego separation experience in your physical, dense vibration illusion. And many of you have been in this creative unfoldment process for some years already. And many of you notice that time, as you measure it, seems to be speeding up, and your lessons have often been frequent, difficult, and stressful, especially due to increased intensity of the unfolding, understanding, and releasing process. Be aware, chelas, that the spiritual work you are accomplishing in this time frame is intensified, magnified, and constant. And many of you no longer have the luxury of time and lack of experience to claim innocence and ignorance or spiritual truth. And so your conscience is moving you as fast as possible to learn and discern quickly that you can shed the physical attachments as well as altered ego illusions. You are in a transition, and you are claiming your spiritual renaissance. The chosen path of many of you to attain graduation involves releasing of your adversary within. This time frame represents your spiritual rebirth opportunity, and the process in itself is creating your spiritual revolution, your inner battle to resurrect your spirit within from the self-imposed prison of which you have forgotten existed. You can remember now, because of God, Aton's infinite grace and wisdom. You ones are now given the opportunity to awaken to the call of the mighty presence of God, Aton, creation within you. Do you hear? Thank you for your attention. I am Sananda, one with God, in service to light of God, Aton's holy divine presence, and to you, my brethren. Thank you, precious little sister Druthea. Salut.